Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about a concept called isogloss. An isogloss is a set of lines that we draw, each line marking the boundary of a specific linguistic feature. When you overlay all these lines, they form a rough outline that helps geographically define dialect areas. The word comes from the Greek isos, meaning identical or similar, and glossa, meaning language or dialect, which is a bit ironic considering the main purpose of an isogloss is actually to highlight how two dialects aren't identical, but the term likely draws inspiration from isoplats used in cartography. An isogloss can be based on the boundaries of all kinds of linguistic phenomena. It's not limited to just one domain. Depending on the type of feature they separate, the lines even have specific names. If the difference is based on pronunciation, it's called an isophone. If it's based on grammar, it's an isomorph. For vocabulary differences, it's an isolex. And if the same word, pronounced identically, has different meanings across regions, that boundary is called an isoseme. It's important to understand that the boundary between two dialects isn't usually a single clean line. It's the result of a superposition of multiple lines. Changes happen gradually, and in between these lines, you often find transitional dialects. Isoglosses can also be drawn across areas where multiple language families coexist. For example, in South Asia, you could draw a line separating the region where retroflex consonants are used across several families like Indo-Iranian and Dravidian from regions where they aren't used, even though both sides can include Indo-Iranian languages. One of the most famous examples is the La Spezia Rimini isogloss, which marks the division between the so-called Western and Eastern Romance languages. One of the major differences is that in the West, noun-plurals derive from the Latin accusative form, often ending in s, while in the East they derive from the nominative form, typically involving the addition of a vowel. For example, Latin for life, vita, forms its plural as vitae in the nominative form and vitas in the accusative. It gave vita, vitae in Italian and vida, vidas in Spanish. Another well-known example is the Benrath line and the Speyer line, used to distinguish between the three major dialect groups of German. Roughly speaking, north of the Benrath line, the word for make is machen, while south of it, it's machen. Similarly, north of the Speyer line, the word for apple is Appel, while in the south it's Apfel. However, not everything is perfect with isoglosses. Some critics rightly point out that while they are very practical for creating maps and divisions, the reality is that dialect differences are usually more of a continuum than a clear-cut boundary. Often, the overlay of different isoglosses doesn't create a uniform pattern. Moreover, large-scale divisions don't always accurately reflect real linguistic distances. For example, with the La Spezia Rimini line, two guys, one from Bologna and the other one from Florence, they would probably understand each other much better speaking their dialect than either would with a Portuguese for the first and a Romanian for the second, even if the maps group them differently. Another limitation is that isoglosses often don't account for internal variation within a single location, differences that can exist between social classes, for example. This raises the question, if you're mapping linguistic features, which social group do you consider the standard for a given area? So, while isoglosses are extremely useful tools for visualizing the distribution of linguistic features and for drawing dialect boundaries, they do have their limitations. Nevertheless, the study of isoglosses remains essential for understanding how languages evolve and spread across space. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Feel free to leave a comment as well. I read them all. See ya!